Bilbo here, and I am going to talk about this in front of us. Not necessarily what happened with the encounter here, what this whole mess is. That I'll recommend going watching our last video, The Great Guardians, my YouTube channel here, and episode 14. And it's a classic homage to the Minotaur Maze. What I'm really going to talk about is really DM tips from Bilbo, of course, myself, and really kind of explain how I came up with this whole thing and kind of go from there. So, first of all, this was a lot of fun to design as well as DM, and I think my players had a great time playing in it. They're not done. There's still a good section here of the map here that they haven't completed yet. They're on a short rest after dealing with all this. And we'll start from the beginning. And so what I'm going to really start from the beginning is go way back in time. So picture this, me back in 7th grade, taking a Greek mythology class. I've been playing D&D since I was 10, so I'm like 12, probably maybe 12, 13 at the time. Junior high age, whatever age that might be, 7th grade. I remember it though very well. And so Greek mythology, and I got to actually design a Minotaur Maze for a project, my final project of the year, and or for the semester. And I crafted up a scalable Minotaur Maze using D&D figures, um, and uh, and actually got an A on the assignment, of course. It was really good. And then I was able to take it and use it actually in my D&D game with my players back then in 7th grade. It was a blast, and it kind of gave me, a remembrance. So this first off is a random encounter. My group, it has a mission right now. The campaign has led them to go after a orc warlord named Grimnox, and in doing so, on their quest, on their way to dealing with Grimnox, they're actually on their way through some mountains to visit and deal with maybe this cloud giant named Rhea, and she has some sort of play in the success of Grimnox taking down Sunderhold of the dwarves. And so the group's heading there. They're going through mountains and they're having random encounters. And they've already dealt with one encounter, and now this is their second random encounter. So when I create, I roll random encounters. I know how many random encounters they have to get to Rhea, and I know when they take place, what they are, and everything like that, and then the design behind them. So when I rolled this and they encounter, was on their second day here in the mountains, traveling up the mountains, and I rolled Minotaurs. On my chart, I have what I call as an easy, I have easy, medium, difficult, deadly. 4, D4. That's all it is. Magic D4. And what I roll that die. And this one's a difficult encounter. Minotaurs. And this is a big group. As some of you may know, I've watched some of my other videos. I have 10 players in all when everybody's in full force. And they have quite a few NPCs with the group. The group averages 7th level, with the highest characters being at 10th level and the lowest being 5th. And so it comes out to average 7th. So I have encounters built in that way on 7th level. I have in the sense of terrain built, and geographical locations, what those random encounters would be, in the sense of easy, medium, difficult, deadly. So, difficult encounter. Now, when I did the Minotaur, I rolled him up, and I thought, okay, I could just put them on the mountainside and they can do a fight, you know, along this cliff face on the mountains. I really thought about that. Okay, I'll do that. But something got into me. And I think one is just the resurgence of me with Dungeons and Dragons, the 5th edition. I love it. It's really bringing back, for me, the storytelling, the fun, the excitement, and it's not so rules heavy. Or 3.5 just at a point it just got ridiculous, um, especially with the players in the sense of making min-maxing the best character they could, and it just wasn't fun anymore as a DM. And you make difficult encounters for the group, and either the group was so worried that they would get killed, or you make an encounter and they would just waylay through it. You spend days maybe building a tough encounter, what you thought was a tough encounter, and boom, gone. I just wasn't having fun. A lot of arguing about the rules. I just wasn't enjoying myself DMing that much, and just really kind of going through the motions. But 5e's re-energized me, and it's got me back into storytelling, story making, and I just thought, I'm like, this just came back, childhood, oh, the Minotaur Maze. And I just started building it and started designing it on paper, came up with some traps and stuff, and built it that way. And it was a lot of fun to design and DM up to this point, and I know the end will be a lot of fun with DMing, and the players are having a great time, and I know they can't wait till next Saturday when we get together and play again. So the first thing I did was, okay, the threat. The threat's the Minotaurs, right? So that was my encounter. Now the terrain, I had to decide, okay, well, I could have just did it I was in the mountains, I knew that, but what was I going to do, cliff face or whatever? The terrain ended up becoming the Minotaur Maze, and then, what's like the treasure? So besides putting some treasure in here because of the encounter or whatever, what's the bigger treat for this group? Well, the thing is, for this group, it's time. They're trying to make it to Rhea as quick as possible so they can deal with Grimnox as quick as possible. So then they can go back home to Anlin and deal with this undead army. So it's all about time. If they waste too much time, something bad could happen at any point. Something could go wrong for the group. And not for the group, but for people that they may care about. The dwarves at Sumter Hold, if they take too long, Grimnox all of a sudden, takes the dwarves down. If they take too long dealing with Grimnox, maybe the undead army walks through the city of Anlin and they lose friends there. So they're in a sense of urgency, which is what, as a DM, you want sometimes in your story. Other times you can ease it down or whatever. But yeah, it's getting to the climax of the story here, the campaign with these characters. And so we're going through. So let me kind of walk through the traps of this, the delays, as I think of stuff, disruption, duration. So the first thing is, here they come up the mountain face, and they discover a cave entrance. And they also discover in the cave entrance, some blowing air. So now they're like, oh, maybe we can go through this. It might be a shortcut, which it is. It cuts off a couple days of travel here by going through here. So first thing here is a sliding wall, stone wall. So once a character, or whatever it is, and I, when I think of this too, is when I'm building terrain or the creature, the encounter, the why. Why is the encounter here? Now, the group doesn't necessarily know why the encounter's here. That's more to come, and next episode. But what would it be dealing with in the sense, well, if something else came up here? And so in the Minotaur's Maze, the sport here, of course, is killing, you know, to killing their victims. So, first thing is, as soon as something steps in here, creature steps in down, walking down this hallway, sliding door comes closing across, stone wall. It's set for 6 rounds. Why 6 rounds? Because it's going to take 6 rounds for the Minotaurs, wherever I have them based out of, 6 rounds to get in place to what they want to do. How they want to is basically a hunt for them. And so 6 rounds for them to get into place for their hunt. I did all, and how did I determine that? I had the map, counted out. Oh, okay, how long would it take the Minotaurs to get in place? So their places, the first places, a Minotaur here and a Minotaur here. 6 rounds to get in place. So that's what I have set up, 6 rounds. Then, after round 6, this opens up. The gate, the wall, the stone wall there, opens up. Okay? Now, this is the magical thing, the fun thing, is the duration. This is here in a disruption, really. So here is disruption duration, your time with your die. So I'm behind my DM screen, and I roll a 1. So guess what? All of a sudden, 1 round goes by. You know, the party's getting in here, they're checking things out, and they were investigating. You can check out our episode 13 when they kind of dealt with the beginning of this. Our last episode, they dealt with more of this back half, and still dealing with some of this as well. So 1 round, it closes. What do? Now it's closed. I roll a d4 again. Okay, I roll a 2. So now it's going to open back in 2 rounds. 2 rounds goes by. This opens back on up. I roll again, d4. So now it's going to be 4 rounds before that closes again. Now they can be talking, and that's what they're doing. As a DM, I'm letting them talk. The players are talking, trying to figure out how do we go in, who should go in when, all that. I'm counting seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Get to 24 seconds. If they haven't gone through, it closes. I'm rolling a d4 again. 3 rounds. Now they're, you know, trying to think, okay, there must be some sort of how many people can be in the hall, how long it stays open. They don't know I'm rolling a d4 behind the screen, and I'm just counting seconds as things go on. It's beautiful. They're all complex, trying to think this thing. Some of the players are getting frustrated, you know, it's like, well, we just need to go. And sure enough, sooner or later, it opens up. The characters are all in this hallway and waiting. And lo and behold, the gnome barbarian comes through. And worst case of it is, I rolled a 1. And so 1 round, boom, it closed. It basically closed. He actually jumped through when it's closing. Made him make a roll, he gets through. So he's through, it closes. Now I roll a d4. So it's not going to be 4 more rounds till it's open. Guess what? He has 2 Minotaurs throwing javelins at him. Both hit. He takes damage. He decides to charge this Minotaur here. So here comes our first little trap. And this trap is just disruptions. All it is. Teleportation circle. So he comes charging headlong to this Minotaur. Boom. He disappears and appears over here in this basic jail cell, sort of. And so he's there. Now he's trying to figure out. The rest of the group's like, oh no, Asnod. Now they don't see this because I have this all covered up with paper. They discover this as they're going. I'm just having sheets of paper that are on this end. And I'll just, you know, just grab one, just, you know. So just a piece of paper. I have hallways built. So you can just take this off. You don't have to draw the map as they go or whatever. If you design stuff like this, just cover it up and reveal, you know, the wall, you know, what wall of fog or whatever I think they say on D20 or whatever, our fantasy grounds that they use. As if you're doing this with figures, all you have to do is just cut out a few pieces of paper and cover stuff up, and as they go, just take them off. That way, it saves you a bunch of time, especially if you're you know tape your video on your game, your YouTube or Twitch. If you're doing that, it saves so much time. You know, and even when I wasn't videotaping our games, and it would take so much time if I'm drawing it out, and half the time, you know, you're messing up on the map from what you're drawing. So now I just do it all. I just do all the prep work before, and so all this is done. You know, they get to see it as it comes off. They're all excited about, you know, the players are all excited about, okay, what kind of cool map is Bill done now, and you know, what are we gonna see? And so they're having a good time with it too. They like that, you know, this is what I'm doing. I have these maps here. I have 6 of them, I think, or at least 4 or 5, and spread all over the place. And so, needless to say, he teleports. Now, eventually, 4 rounds goes by, this opens up, the group's ready, rolling, and they come rocking and rolling in through here. Okay? Closes again. I forget, you know, how much time they had, maybe a couple rounds, but it closes again. Um, Now, we have a situation. The Minotaurs have done their job. They've thrown their spears. The group comes, there's no Minotaurs here. In fact, one of the Minotaurs, he ends up running back here to another spear. This Minotaur over here runs over here and is waiting because of the whole teleportation circle he's thinking. That they could come, you know, they're just gonna come through here. Actually, I had the Minotaur here. So this here, let me remove this for that account. So he's waiting here to see if the gnome barbarian appeared here, or maybe he's gonna come running out of here. So this is all pre-designed in the sense of I knew what the Minotaurs, where they're going next after they threw spears, to lure the group, lure their prey back. That's the whole thing. And the Minotaurs are just, you know, luring their prey, getting them in position to where maybe they want to make their attack. Anyways, Asnod's over there. So some of the group comes over here. The Goliath cleric ends up stepping here. He misses a perception check to see the floor trap on the ground here. Also, because of what I had set up, this is anti-magic field. This right here over this pit, you know, sealing the thing to the floor is an anti-magic. Now, why did I have anti-magic? Because of this guy, Rafik, in the sense of when I built the encounter, he's a flyer. He's a Djinn-born warlock, and we built a warlock subtype behind that for the Djinn. And it was a 3.5 build, of course, and we converted it, we created it I did it with a couple of friends of mine that are DMs out there, and we created the, you know, well, I kind of took the Djinn-born from actually you know, some other people, some other game designers, but they have it out there. And but in the sense of is the warlock class we created and made a balance for the game. And maybe someday when I get good enough to figure out how to publish something, I'll put that out on DMG Guild, because I think we made all 4 of, you know, the genie, the Ifrit, the air, you know, the wind, water. So we did that, it's built, and that's where he's at. So that's why I built it here is anti-magic, because he normally scouts ahead. And so I'm thinking, well, if he goes this way, anti-magic, boom, he's going to crash through the floor, 10-foot pit, spikes, little poison, Nothing deadly in the sense of poison, just a disadvantage in you know, until he gets cured from the poison. The lesser restoration will take care of that. So, needless to say, though, the Goliath falls in there. Magic goes out. Um, he takes some damage from the fall, 10-foot pit, some spikes. There's some damage. As a DM, you want them to use some of their resources. You want your spellcasters to be a little bit down for your encounters if you can do stuff like that. And when you have simple traps, not going to kill them, you know, just maybe spend some resources, some healing, and that's it. Just to make things challenging later on. You want to challenge your players. A little disruption is all that is. A little disruption, nothing else. I still get Rafik. I just have to note this. I still get Rafik. Watch episode 13. It's funny. He ends up trying to jump, misses the jump, falls into the pit. Hilarious. I still get him. So, but this also, these things set off alarms. So if Rafik would have just flown through here and went here, he teleports in the teleportation circle, or he falls in here. All three set off alarms for the Minotaurs to get there. Now, of course, this one goes off first. They get their 6 rounds, they get in position. If Rafik would have came in here, went either way, something's happening to him, sets the alarm off. Now the Minotaurs are going to have to move through here. And maybe the party advances, maybe not, maybe Rafik jumps out. But better judgment on the player's part this time is he didn't go by himself. He had Asnod, the gnome barbarian, and that's who actually set this off. Because before, Rafik flew up to here. I think he actually got into this part, looked, came back with Asnod. Asnod stepped. That's how this all started. This is delay. This is disruption, some damage with it, perfect things. All right. So now the great thing is this, here this teleportation circle too, it went off. Now it's reset, same thing. I'm using a D4 to determine when this will be reset to teleport somebody else. So they're like, some of the guys are jumping over these teleportation circles as they encounter some more. But it's always a D4 once it gets set off. So I roll a 3. So in 3 rounds, it gets reset. Now, of course, Asnod and this was closed for 4 rounds. So this got reset before the group came in. So 3 of the characters went this way. Some of the 3 characters or 4 characters went this way. 3 went this way. The 3 that went this way, they all held hands. Basically jumped on the teleportation circle. They appeared here. Not where Asnod was, just random. Same thing. At this time, I was using a D6, D3. So they were going to either go here, here, or here. And then once they set these 2 teleportation circles off, then it became a D4. And they're either going to go here, 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 or there. That's all. And they, once again, same thing. Once they set this off, it was a D4, 3 rounds before this would actually activate again. But they're jumping over it, and it didn't matter if they jumped. It was basically anything that comes into those 4 squares is going to happen. But it was purely in the sense of timing, and they just didn't know the timing. So fun stuff, you know, they're trying to figure that all out. So, you know, lo and behold, like this Minotaur here at the time is waiting. This group goes here, teleports here. They figure out how to get the portcullis up. Easy DC. Find it, push in a brick in the wall. It opens up. They come through. Same thing, D4 is determined when that closes again. So I even have that set up for that. Minotaur, they come around. Minotaur throws a spear at Flamezor, and then he hits the stone, closes this up, once again to delay the group, just duration. He goes back on out, gets set up down the hallway. I think that's where he went. Another spear there, waiting for them to come through. He chucks another spear, just leading the group back. That's all they're doing, is trying to lead the group back, and they're doing a pretty good job. Now, what happens? Episode ends, so now the players have some time to talk, and that's going to happen. That's part of the game. When you can't finish an encounter, we play usually about 3-hour episodes, and this one was a shorter episode, actually. They had time to talk. Now, they thought the thing was, okay, we can regroup, time's going to be on our side, we'll be able to do this, as a group. But time really wasn't on their side. It wasn't until kind of here. They're on a short rest now. Time is on their side. But time wasn't on their side because of all these little these little traps I had set up, dealing with things. They had some issues. So, first thing is they had an issue. Once again, the cleric, the Goliath cleric, the war cleric, set off another trap here. A floor spike trap got him. So now he's really messed up. And they're chasing, one of the Minotaurs here. They also, one of the Minotaurs here, he sets off, same thing over here at this side. He threw a spear here also at the Goliath when he came over here. He made his way down the hall, goading the characters to chase them. The Slosh, our barbarian ranger lizard man in the group, was an NPC. Got one attack on the barbarians, slammed down the gate, and then he made the once again, the Minotaur makes his way here. I think chucks another spear. I think it actually chucks another spear at the Goliath here before he makes his way through here. So, but the group, like I said, end of the episode, they're like, oh, we got time. Let's regroup and slow it down. But they couldn't slow it down. Not yet. They couldn't slow it down. And that was on my part. I knew they can't slow down. And because these Minotaurs are just going to keep chucking spears at them. And there's only so much where these fighters in this group, no matter how much control that some of the players want to put on the group, there's only so much as a fighter, as a player, as a character. You're going to take spears to the chest from these Minotaurs that are throwing them at you. And so they're chasing through the Minotaurs. Next trap, so they have to deal with a couple teleportation circles. Funny thing is here, they end up here. I think Asnot actually ended up here once. He's able to he just strengths, with a crowbar, lifting up the gate and getting through. He's made some incredible rolls. He's been on a hot streak of late. It's really cool to see a gnome barbarian do what he's been doing. As a dungeon master, and I think as a player. And so anyway, so the Minotaurs, there's 2 Minotaurs now waiting down here with spears, waiting for characters. They actually chuck them at, I think, Slosh again. And but it's part of the group's grouping up here. Another part of the group's chasing a Minotaur this way. Ends up here, they can get entangled. Now, Rafik gets through here, Garther gets through here, no problem. They're at half speed, but Cass, their wizard, gets entangled like right here, and so he's restrained, can't move, gotta make saving throws to get through. No damage. Once again, it's not damage. All this is disrupting their movement, and that's it. That's all this is doing here, is a disruption. That's all these here. Just disruptions. You're not causing any damage. Needless to say, we get a fight down here. So Mardor's down here, Flamezor's down here, else? Asnod is down here. So, you know, some of their hitters are down here. And they end up having a fight with a couple of Minotaurs. Another Minotaur from over here is kind of waiting for this group to come through, but they're delayed. They're having some issues. So he ends up setting off these portcullises, dropping some portcullises down to force the group. They're going to have their fight here. Now, this wasn't planned. I didn't even know where the group was going to go. Didn't plan on having this fight here. It just ended up happening here. There's this pool of water, a pit, 30 feet pit, filled with water. Now, when I designed this, it was really, in a sense, a design trap. See the greed. Like here, over here, I haven't talked about it, but there's a chest. Now, the dwarf saw the chest, resisted the temptation to go down there, and told everybody there's nothing down that hallway, just move on. Luckily, it's mainly NPCs following, and anybody else followed direction. They left it alone. They've left that chest alone, and the only person that knows about the chest is Garther, you know, unless they go back and investigate, and there's no reason for them to investigate. So they've moved on from there. But, you know, yeah, is it treasure? Is it treasure in a trap? Who knows? Classic D&D dungeon, you know, maze, you know. So the fight ensues here. I'm not going to get into fight details. You can watch. But I'm going to say just one detail. One. So I have a water elemental down here at the bottom of this. The water elemental wasn't part of the random encounter. But I was designing this and I was thinking, okay, what would be cool? You know, I'm designing, you know, traps, you know, and I don't know how I thought about it, but I was like, oh, you know, what about water? You know, putting some treasure at the bottom of some water. I'm like, how are the Minotaurs getting, you know, drinking? I'm like, okay, let's put a water thing in here. And then I just came up with the idea of, like, let's put a water elemental at the bottom and see what they do. And so at the bottom of this, there's some gems, and there was actually a magical hammer down there. Now, I thought the group would deal with this later at a different time, this encounter separately, but you never know. You know, you have players, you know, greedy players, treasure seekers, nothing wrong with that. I've played characters like that too. And so I thought maybe I'd get one of them to kind of jump down there and then all of a sudden have to be saved by the group or whatever. Or maybe have multiple people that investigate. Needless to say, or just, you know, maybe bring do mage hand, bring up the stuff. If they got the stuff, great, more power to them. If they don't have to deal with the water elemental, not a big deal. Water elemental at the bottom. It's only going to deal with the group if somebody comes down there at the bottom after the treasure. But anyways, what happens is we have a fight with the Minotaurs. 3 of them. 3 Minotaurs over here. Standoff here. Good fight. Classic Dungeons and Dragons fight here. So, lo and behold, this fighting's going on. I think, you know, you had Slosh over here fighting one. I think you had Asnod over here fighting one. Mardor over here fighting one. And lo and behold, here comes Flamezor, who has these boots that we designed back in 3.5 and converted them. We call them Boots of the Wolf. And what they do is, once upon activating, he howls to activate them, and his boots become wolf feet, wolf legs, I guess. Yeah, in that sense, really wolf legs. So it gives him the ability to move quickly and mobile in plate mail. Now, the one downfall that we created, I love this about one of my players, you know, when he creates these items, Vega here, she creates stuff. There's always some sort of side effect, or usually, not always, but there's a good chance there might be some sort of side effect in the item she's created. And this happens to be where they can no longer speak. All they can do is howl like a wolf. And they're, they howl and bark. Now with Vega, she's telepathic, so she can communicate with the whole group. So now Flamezor has to communicate with the group the rest of the session through her. Gives me the DM the grandfather a break from his grandson who likes talking it up anyways. So it gives me a break. It's funny that happened, but he decides he's gonna charge, jump over the pool, hit this Minotaur with his Sunblade, hopefully kill the Minotaur, land, and everything's good. He charges, he makes the jump, no problem. He makes his attack, no problem. However, he does not kill the Minotaur. So I make him make a dex check to see if he can land here. He fails that dex check. He falls into the water and now has to deal with the water elemental. And he's grappled down there. In doing so, I believe this Minotaur ends up going down. Slosh and Mardor are dealing with those two. Asnod jumps in the water. The gnome barbarian jumps in to save Flamezor down there. And I won't go into any more details like that. But I didn't expect that to happen. I did not expect a standoff here. Kind of expected it maybe to happen over here with the Minotaurs, but it just happened. That's just how it happened. You don't know what your players are going to go, which direction. I didn't know they would even split up into group coming this way, a group coming that way. But it's designed. They had option A, option B, and next episode they still have more to kind of go through the final part of the maze. So that will be episode 15 here for the Grey Guardians. But I just wanted to share, how I built this, how I think about, the threat first, terrain, what to treat, what treasure could possibly be. I'm thinking about when the sense of traps. Besides dealing with a floor spike, they had a ceiling spike trap here. I forgot about that. And so here, and this was pretty deadly one because it affected more characters. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I got Mardor again with this one. I might have. I know he dealt with a couple, but I know I got the Dragonborn with it, and Cass the wizard, because no one was telling this part of the group, hey, there's a trap here. Now some of them made it by because it resets. Once again, the same thing. It comes smashing down these spikes, long spikes, and they're all magical traps. And everything I have here too is glyphs, so it does not affect the Minotaurs running through here. Just anything else but Minotaurs. So the spikes coming down, I'm pretty sure I got 3 characters hurt by this one, just in the sense of the pure randomness of this magical D4, and the damage. You figuring out the damage. I don't like building traps that are gonna kill a character. I'm gonna build a trap that could hopefully just use a resource that the party has that they'd have to use to maybe get that character healed up, or for whatever it is. One of the NPCs actually fell in that pit eventually too, and missed the saving throw. And that's the thing, low DCs, they're not high DCs to make, but if you miss it, there's going to be a cost. And for this, just he's blurred vision, he's going to get lesser restoration here on the short rest, so his vision will be fine. But all it would have been is he would have been disadvantaged on any attack rolls. That's all I had for the next 24 hours if they didn't have the lesser restoration. But they'll use the lesser restoration on him. Once again, there goes another resource. Doesn't kill anybody, it's great role playing. If it would have happened to a PC, it just happened to happen to an NPC, and you use a resource from your group. So when you're designing things like that, don't design a trap that's going to kill a character. I mean, that's no fun to me as a DM. I don't think it's fun. And I would just think about if you were a player and a trap killed you. Now, if somebody's already damaged a lot, in the sense, well, actually, you watch the story and see what happens to Cass. Um, Anybody got a name for a wizard murder hobo? They do make a comment here on the video. Um, but I don't design my traps to kill characters. Can it happen? Absolutely, it can. Just depending on if somebody like Mardor setting off every trap and he doesn't heal himself, and that's kind of on him. He is a cleric after all, and they have two other clerics in the group. Yeah, but if they keep charging through and just go, okay, I'm going to keep taking damage, that's on them as players, not on the DM there. So I'm not going to necessarily design a trap that kills a character. Might do a lot of damage, might get unlucky and kill the character, but hopefully it doesn't. Um, and some things with your traps, you just want to design things where it's disruptive or there's a duration. Um, and that's what all these things here are designed for, is to just disrupt the group and make this more challenging, make the Minotaurs more, this is a large group, make these Minotaurs, these 4 Minotaurs that they dealt with, more challenging for the party. And that's exactly what it did. It made it fun for me as a DM to run. It made it fun for the players to chase through after these Minotaurs. Everybody had a great time. Everybody couldn't wait to get back to the last session to this session, and I know everybody can't wait to get back on Saturday for episode 15, where they finish the rest of this maze. And so it was a great thing for me to just pay homage to the Minotaur Maze. It was great DMing. I knew my players had a fun time playing in it, and my next video hopefully will be on their next encounter, the next random encounter that I have for them, and I'll explain once again the terrain and how this next encounter happens, and so on. So I hope you enjoy it. Not giving any real spoilers away. And with that, this is Bilbo, your DM, signing out here. Have a good evening, and if please subscribe to our channel here. And if you have any questions that you want to ask a DM with almost 40 years of experience of playing Dungeons and Dragons, please feel free to drop a message. I will reply to your message, and or even possibly make a video if it's something in great amount of detail that you want explained. And with that, I'm going to sign out. And remember, it's cool to be a geek. Pass it on. Good night.